I wonder if people can hear me. Right. If you can hear me, write something in the chat so I know that it's working. Should be working. Well, there are two people. Probably will be my mum and my aunt and someone else. Cool. Brilliant. Right. People are joining. As you join, welcome. Hope you're all having a good evening, despite it being a lockdown still. There we go. Hello. The Force. Cheyenne. Brilliant. Yes. I'm all good, thank you. How are you all? How are you all reacting to the fact that Britain has now got the greatest number of coronavirus deaths in the whole of Europe? Isn't that a nice figure to know about? Funny thing about coronavirus, I was working with an interviewee candidate earlier this year, and we, at the beginning of the coronavirus outbreak, we were like, so how many deaths do you think we're going to have out of this? And we said 10,000. So 200,000 is quite a lot more than what we expected. Anyway, right, coronavirus aside. Yes, hello, Ella, Elriza, Sam, Rav, hello. Nice to join you all. So I thought I'd just do this because I haven't talked to you guys in quite a while, and a lot of you have quite a few questions, and I thought I'd offer this opportunity to talk through a few questions, but also to tell you that I'll be doing a get to know me video quite soon. So I recommend you head over to my Instagram and you ping me a few messages with questions you might have, so I can put them in a video format. Am I Tamil? Indeed, I am Tamil. Oh no, he's singing. Oh, someone thinks I'm Sinhalese. Why do you think I'm Sinhalese? Well, either is good, I think, but I am learning Sinhalese, however. Would you agree there are severe mistakes made in the decisions for the UK? Yes, the UK, I think, was quite complacent with this coronavirus thing. You're looking at countries even like Sri Lanka, on the topic of being Tamil or Sinhalese. Sri Lanka, for example, locked down their country rapidly, whereas the UK were quite lax with it, with a herd immunity concept. And so the UK did mismanage it. The consequence is you have quite a few people dying at care homes, and I think this will be quite a hot topic at interviews because this is quite an ethical issue, right? These old people at care homes are all passing away, and had we managed this a bit better, we may have avoided these deaths in care homes. So, this is all public health, and so, yeah, quite an interesting topic. Dude, you beat me. We spoke about Yankee Kara. Right, let me just read these comments so I can interact with you all as well. Best non-STEM careers. Right. Define what best means, the most interesting one, the one where you make the most money, because think about it, making more money doesn't necessarily mean it's more interesting. Like I was reading a book the other week, and the best paid jobs are usually the best paid because there's so few people who can and want to do them, right? And so, like things like investment banking, they're ruthless jobs where you've got to work pretty tough hours, and the work at the beginning isn't really that interesting. So, just because you make lots of money doesn't mean it's the best career out there. Okay, what would your advice be to someone getting to year 12 and wants to study medicine at Cambridge? That's a really good question, Karen. When I was in year 12, I knew I wanted to do medicine. I sort of decided when I was doing my GCSEs, but I didn't even think about what it took to get into Cambridge. But as I went through year 12, the reality hit me of the caliber of students that Cambridge takes in. So one of the first things you need to sort out getting into year 12 is your work ethic. Make sure you're ready to hammer it out and get very good grades across the board. And you will have loads of kids at sixth form saying, "Oh yeah, there's no need to try hard now." Well, actually, trying hard from early on makes you one of those candidates who gets the best scores. And again, not all of your sixth form is going to get into Cambridge, right? And so don't follow what everyone else is doing. Be different. If you think you need to work, then don't go socialize. Go do your work, but try and maintain a good work-life balance. That's very important. Also make sure you do your work experience. I know this summer it's going to be very hard for you all, and actually I did a lot of my work experience after my year 11 year anyway. So read books, watch YouTube videos, read into medical ethics, learn about medical concepts. All these things you can do now during this lockdown to make up for the lack of work experience. Right. when should you revise for the BMAT UCAT? Oh, before I answer that, Sam Donovan, fantastic. Go cycle. 20 mile, cycle's a pretty solid cycle. I'm about to jump on my turbo trainer later, so I've not been cycling out and about recently, just, cycling at home, which is quite nice. So when you start revising for the UCAT BMAT, yes, good question. Now you guys are free, revise early because, everyone else is starting to revise. So this year it's going to be different because since a lot of kids will start revising earlier, exams on the BMAT where it's marked with a bell-shaped curve, generally people are going to perform better because more people have spent more time revising. And so for you to stay competitive when you are ranked with this normal distribution curve, you've also got to, do better, because a normal distribution curve, it simply works out where you are relative to everybody else. So if everybody does really well, you also need to do well to be good. Whereas if everyone else does badly, but you do kind of okay, then relative to everybody else, you've done very well. So, start revising now, particularly the theory, like for section 2, make sure you go over the sciences, the equations. I might I think I'm, let me know in the comments. I'm catching up with these questions. So let me know if you want me to make a website where I can create resources and share tips, because I think a lot of you want to sort of get more advice from me in a formal way. And I know Instagram is the least useful platform to convey meaningful and, useful information. YouTube, again, you have to make videos to convey information. So maybe you guys want to read from a different source. So let me know. I'll make a website and I can give you guys some longer tips on the crib sheets and cheat sheets. How do you master maths at A-level, bro? Good question, Sheik. Okay, maths is a very interesting subject, mainly because it requires hard work and patience. So with maths, it's not like it's impossible. It's definitely not impossible. It's just a matter of sitting down and understanding a concept. With math, just spend literally, I would spend hours sitting in front of YouTube, watching examsolutions.net, trying to understand what steps you have to do in what sequence to understand how to solve a certain problem. And once it clicks once, and once you can do one example question in a guided manner, then it becomes far easier. And once you sort of do one guided question, you then try another guided question, and then you can try a question unguided. So I think Exam Solutions is a fantastic resource to look at for math. But in general, the way I mastered it, the way I got practically maybe 100 in every module, aside from some C2 and S1, didn't like S1, S1 is statistics. I mastered it by doing loads of past papers and by just doing so many questions that I was able to see of any question they could give me, I was able to see which ones I would perform weaker on. So those weaker performing questions I then revised 10 times, doing all the past papers on those. A really good website for past papers is Physics and Maths Tutor, I think. He collates past papers by their different topics. So I feel like you're terrible at integration by parts. Literally do 2-3 days of integration by parts, and before you know it, you'll be acing every single question. Is it good to do St. John's Ambulance as an extracurricular activity for medicine? Yes, it is. I think I could probably pull out my St. John's Ambulance uniform for you guys out now. Let me know if you want me to make a video about it. I myself went to St. John's Ambulance. I got the uniform and all, but I only did one duty actually as a cadet, which is quite, it's quite a shame, because I wish I'd gone on more duties. But then again, listen, I was rowing, I was doing work, I was trying to get into Cambridge. And so spending a whole morning on Saturday, standing in the cold at a football match wasn't the most useful for me. Whereas instead, being able to go to St. John's Ambulance, the training sessions where you meet other students, where you get taught first aid, that was far more useful. And so, I was a St. John's cadet, but didn't go on duty too much. And again, my uniform was only used once. So yeah, St. John's Ambulance, definitely do it if you can get a place there. You know where to start coding? Yes, Code Academy is a fantastic website to start coding. I know Coursera and other online platforms also do it. But Code Academy is something which has been there for 10 years now. And it's literally a platform which takes you through step by step through different exercises. And it's really useful because me, I can do math, physics, biology, chemistry, but tell me to code and I'm what the hell is coding? And so Code Academy, it takes you through the basics of what to understand, what to do, and the different buttons and different symbols and what they mean in different languages. So Code Academy is very much like a language. It's very much, coding is like a language. You have to understand what syntax to use. Like in French, for example, you might have different grammatical points you have to keep in mind. Exactly in coding, you have to like put a full stop somewhere, you have to put a comma somewhere. And actually that's the hardest part of coding, remembering where the commas go, remembering where the brackets go. Because like even using Code Academy, now I've gotten a bit better at Python and R and a bit of C sharp. The thing is with that, like half the time my errors come because of like a missing semicolon, not because my code is wrong. So, the code you can actually write in a very flexible manner. It's the actual syntax, which is very difficult. It was in that posh hotel team blitz. What is a valuable life lesson you learned from Cambridge? That's a really good question. A life lesson at Cambridge has been, yes, never relax. So obviously at school I was like, on the ball quite a lot. And once I got into Cambridge, you think you got into Cambridge. And so you do a few more things that you may have wanted to do earlier on in school life. So, I was doing much more sports, having a bit more fun with friends and not really spending as much time thinking about what I wanted to do, thinking about what I wanted to achieve. And although I did, still rather well for my standards, I was slacking on, that drive that had gotten me there in the first place. And so I'd say in about second year, I sort of, restarted the engine and got the fire burning again. And so what you need to really realize, what I realized from Cambridge, is that just because you achieve a goal doesn't mean you should stop and like slack. Find the next goal, understand that you've got other goals that you had before you got there and you want to achieve those. Because at university, it's very easy to come across people and be distracted. And one of the key things and one of the hard things in life is to not be distracted and to sort of keep on that goal that you have and to keep achieving, keep, smashing those things. And since I've gotten my head back into the game, I'd say I'm getting back into the role of, taking things and doing things that I want to and getting the achievements that I want to. So yeah, don't get distracted, but also don't get complacent. That's one of the key things I've learned from Cambridge. What specialty do you want to go into? Some sort of surgery. That I'm very interested in that. Orthopedic surgery seems pretty cool. Plastics I'm considering. I like upper GI surgery as well. I've done quite a bit of upper GI surgery for work experience and really enjoy that. Got an offer from Jesus for med. Any advice for people starting the Cambridge course? Nicketh, well done. Jesus is a fantastic college, and it's super brilliant that you can join us. Not sure how term is going to go next year because you might have, at the moment you're getting this thing called virtual Jesus. So the whole Jesus College platform has been moved online. So I've made a video that you should watch about first year medicine, but if you've already watched that, then the best way to prepare is just to relax firstly, like I said, but also to start learning some anatomy. So anatomy is one of those things which is like learning French again or Spanish again. It's a completely different language. And the way of learning it is simply by using images, diagrams, and understanding how those diagrams fit into the actual body you see. So, try learning some anatomy by watching YouTube videos. Try and learn the upper limb anatomy if you can, if you are bored, because I guess you don't have exams. So yeah, anatomy is something you can try and do now to prepare for first year, because that's quite, it's like an overwhelming thing there. What do you think of programming tutorials on YouTube, freecodecamp.org? Yeah, programming tutorials on YouTube, again, they're fantastic. But for something like programming, I think it's a very interactive thing. And when I asked lots of my friends who are very good at programming, I was like, mate, like, you're fantastic at this stuff. I want to learn it as well. This was back at school. And they were like, Sen, you can't try and learn programming like learning French vocabulary. You have to learn it by doing a project. And so the best way to learn coding is by doing a project. And that's why Code Academy is so good, because they set you individual projects that they guide you through. And you make a mistake, it gives you an X, and you sort of work out why you made the mistake. You try it a few more times. If you still make a mistake, they give you the answer, so you can see, okay, that's what I should have written. But the best way is through an interactive manner. And watching YouTube tutorials, well, with me, for example, I would fall asleep and get bored and like watch some cooking show rather quickly. So, YouTube tutorials, not so good for coding, I wouldn't say. How many hours do you study a day, bro? Very good question. It depends. So if you consider studying like thesis writing, then I'd say about like 6-7 a day at the moment. Quite chill. I'm like filming a pretty cool project where we're doing some like building work outside. So that'll be a video soon. So that's taking some time up. But like studying, like you think that Cambridge students study a lot. No, it's like Cambridge students, the thing about Cambridge students is that they study consistently. They don't study 15, 16 hours a day, all day, every day, right? They study 6-7 hours of quality study every day and just keep it up, keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. And that's the way to success. Because you might have some students who don't study for like 2 weeks and then pull like 4 all-nighters, and that's not a sustainable way of learning. So, 6-7 hours a day at the moment. What do you think about early waking up to study before school, like at 5 a.m.? How much sleep would you recommend? So if you look at that medic, that's a YouTube channel as well. He's a student who actually went to my same secondary school. He went to King's College London afterwards to medicine. Now he's a fantastic doctor. He makes some sick videos. And that medic just released a video about his schedule and how he works and how to be productive. And in that video, he very much recommends what I recommend, where you do like mind-bogglingly difficult stuff in the morning, and then you sort of, as your attention span sort of decreases throughout the day, you do like less intensive tasks. So let's say you've got like a math worksheet to do. That doesn't require that much grunt. So you can sit there, find the answer sheet and like do it at like 8, 9 p.m. in the evening. Whereas something like learning a like chain of different reactions for chemistry, that requires, some memory power. You need to like sit down and learn it. And the best way to do that is in the morning. And usually, for me, the morning was quite hectic when I was, in year 9 or something, because I'd like get up half an hour before I had to go leave the house, wash my teeth, wash, and then like put my uniform on and go. But then once I got into like year 10 and year 11, I found out that, if I woke up a bit earlier, about 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, I could actually like listen to some music, some chill music, open the windows, listen to the birds, and just like read stuff. And I'd remember by reading stuff early in the morning, even though I was like literally like sometimes nodding asleep, I'd like sit there with the textbook and like full head down into my book. That's how like Tyler was. Just feel that like the visual examination of the textbooks was helpful, because later when I came across the topic again, somehow I'd like remember what I'd read that morning, even though I'd read it in like a very like low quality manner. So the morning is a very good time to remember stuff. Is a very good time to pick up new things. So I recommend you do get up early. And if you look at the high performers of the world, from venture capitalists to even pop stars, all of them they sleep early and they wake up early, because the morning is a very productive time. But also the morning's so quiet and so relaxed, right? So it's a very nice opportunity for you to get work done before the hecticness of daily life sets in. How did you respond to why medicine? Why medicine? A good question. I said my key 3 reasons were, what were they? Oh, good question. I had like 3 good reasons in my head all the time, but it's been a few years. So one of the 3 reasons was it's a very like varied career, and I love how many options you have after medicine. So that was a really good thing. I said like how doing medicine allows me to then like work out what I want to do during medical school, and I love this sort of flexibility of medicine, and I really like that. The second reason was sort of like humanities. Like they weren't in this order, but these were the 3 reasons. The second reason was the mixture of like humanities and medicine. Like that's very cliche mix, but I was like, I love the sciences, but what I love even more is how it's applied to literally make a difference to patients' lives on the ward. That's how direct medicine is, and I love that direct application nature of science to improving people's lives that medicine is. And I think the first reason was the first reason was more like revolving on my work experience. I was like, well, medicine's something which I've been thinking about for a long time. It's something which I've done lots of work experience in, and it's a very well-reasoned decision that I've made because I enjoy the, just the science part of it. I think that's what I mentioned. I linked again science to the work experience. I need to make a video. I need to like read my personal statement. And I don't think I'll share my personal statement, but I'll probably like go through it and like maybe tell you guys what I wrote, because it might be useful for you to hear what I wrote. Again, it's not about hearing exactly what I wrote. Like, your personal statement should be personal, but I'll give you some tips in a future video. What is the best and worst thing about studying at Cambridge? The best thing is, the best thing is probably the people you meet. You meet like loads of motivated people who are like always driven. But also, actually, for me, Cambridge, the best thing is the opportunities it's given me. Actually, no. For me, the best thing about Cambridge is the opportunities it has given me more so than actually the people there. Mainly because for me, I'm a person who always pushes myself, who always wants to explore new things. And having gone to Cambridge, I'd say it's allowed me to carry on achieving things and like exploring new options and doing things that I've wanted to do. And sometimes in life, you have got to realize that by working hard, by doing very well, you always keep your doors open. You always keep as many doors open as you can. And sometimes, although like failures aren't bad, like not achieving something and failing obviously closes some doors, right? And so the doors you can choose from are, let's say, 3 out of the 10 you could have had. And so by having gone to Cambridge, what I feel is that those other doors have remained open, allowing me to do things that I wouldn't have otherwise done if I hadn't got in. For example, going to this thing called Gap Summit, a fantastic conference in Boston. I was meeting Nobel Prize winners and like taking photos with them and talking about the latest and the most important things in biotech and pharmaceuticals. And for example, this opportunity I wouldn't have gotten if I hadn't gotten into Cambridge, because I wouldn't have come across it, because the people I met at Cambridge are the ones who recommended I go to this and I apply for this. The worst thing about Cambridge, I'd say, is probably good question. Probably the intensity. Like sometimes you just it's not too bad, but you just sometimes sit there and think, why am I here? And like, why am I actually putting this effort in? And that thought only lasts like half a second. But then you realize, okay, right, I'm here because of my personality. I've worked my butt off and I've got things to achieve. That's why I'm here. And if I sat here thinking, oh, what's the point of working hard? I wouldn't be here in the first place, right? So like the worst thing about Cambridge is realizing, okay, you're working really hard, but then also a really good thing is that you remind yourself of why you actually got there in the first place. So it's like sort of bolstering your inner motivation. Right? How to sharpen my mind for memory, bro? Good question. Sleep a lot, because sleep is when your synapses are sort of built and connected. Good nutrition is very important, but also I'd say good memory, like spaced repetition. Like Ali Abdaal, I'm sure you guys watch his videos. Like he covers all of this stuff. Spaced repetition. Make sure you like expose yourself repeatedly. I love flashcards as a good way of like exposing yourself to like information you've got to memorize. But before you do flashcards, it's very, very important for you to actually like, flick through the material. So if it's like biology, make sure you read the textbooks before you start doing flashcards, because otherwise the flashcards make no sense and you're like, what the hell does this flashcard mean? So you end up like flicking through a flashcard 10 times without actually understanding what the stuff in that flashcard means, which is useless. So make sure you actually understand the context of what you're reading first before actually doing the flashcards. I think someone asked about second year medicine. Dylan, yes. How to survive year 2 Cambridge medicine? A very good question. And year 2 Cambridge medicine did give me a good shafting. So it's a very, very valid question. Number 1, get ready to work hard for the whole year. And number 2, make sure you revise head and neck in the Christmas vacation. Don't leave it any later, because you think you can do head and neck revision in the Lent term ahead of the exam, because your head and neck exam is at the end of Lent. But then Lent term is so busy, and it's even busier than the Michaelmas term, that you won't have time. So head and neck, revise everything in the Michaelmas term holiday, so that in Lent term, all it requires is a polishing up. But also in second year, it's not too hard. It's just the schedule is more packed. So you have like 5 or 6 supervisions per week. I had like a back-to-back supervision, which is like literally 2 hours of close group teaching in second year, which completely fries your brain. And you've got friends at other universities who are doing medicine, but literally they go to lectures and that's about it. Whereas at Cambridge, you go to lectures, you then have like 2 hours of like crazy practicals where you're like working with live E. coli. Then you have to go back to college, like literally stuff some food in your face within 5 minutes, then run out of your room, like grabbing your bag and your essays that you've written, go to one supervision, which might be completely boring, and then like you'll be drained of energy. You like grab a biscuit on the way to the next supervision. Then at the next supervision, hey, lo and behold, it's a fantastically interesting supervision. So, it's Cambridge year 2 it's a roller coaster. But then again, like although roller coasters are roller coasters, no one says they're not fun. So looking back, actually, second year is probably one of the most fun years I've had. So although it's hard, it's still very fun. So yeah, kind of that's my overall quick reply to that. How many languages do you speak? So I can speak like 2 languages really fluently, Tamil and English. Like pretty good, I can speak German, mediocre French and Spanish, and then like elementary is Sinhalese and Russian, and a tiny bit of Chinese. Hi Sen, when did your A-level physics and when did you do your A-level physics and math? Did you use CGP textbooks? CGP, not so much. CGP for me was like mind-numbing. I used the CGP guide for the BMAT exam, yes, because CGP is very easily presented. But for A-level physics, I recommend like this series of books. This series literally, like, this is one of the key reasons why I got like 4 A stars at A level. These books are so dense in terms of their like content. Like if you read this, literally it shows equations, shows you the concept. You do some mathematical like questions as you'd see in the exam. Lo and behold, you've mastered the topic. And this question is like those thick A-level textbooks you get for each subject, but the stuff you actually need to remember. Actually, the stuff you need to memorize. So the good thing about this is you can just memorize it and read it 5 times. And then like your school kids, they'll be like, Sen, how do you know this like so concisely? Where you're like, oh, it's did a bit of work. And actually, I recommended this book to a few friends, and those friends didn't get it when I told them to get it. But when they got it, it was a bit too late. And they're like, Sen, this textbook's so useful. I wish I'd actually got it earlier. So yeah, it's the Collins Student Support Materials for AQA, or whatever board you do, you might be able to find them. Do you need math to read medicine? No, you just need chemistry and biology, or chemistry and maths for Cambridge. Can you link the physics book, please? Yeah, I'll write. It's the Collins Student Support Materials book. Like this might be out of date, so you need to find like the actual latest version of it. But I don't know. Yeah, just like take a screenshot of this if you want. I'll hold it up for a bit. Yeah, there you go. No worries. Right, let's go up. I've missed a few questions. I want to pursue physics after my graduation. What is my best option? Well, physics is a fantastic subject to pursue. I loved physics at school. I did some medical physics this year as part of my engineering integration for my master's. So yeah, just apply to a few postgraduate programs, maybe like a master's program. Because like if your first subject is completely irrelevant to physics, then I strongly would suggest that you do a second undergraduate. So I've got friends who've like been to universities like Columbia who studied politics, who've then ended up studying history at Cambridge as a second undergraduate. So although a second undergraduate could be costly, if your first subject is kind of relevant to physics, what they might let you do is like skip first year. So like because first year at most universities other than Cambridge is quite elementary. They're sort of recapping A-level materials because most students like from schools may have different qualities of A-level teaching. And so in first year, they get you up to speed in that sort of content. So if you've done like a sort of mathsy, bioengineering backgroundy course where you've got like good differentiation integration skills, then they might let you sort of jump into second year physics when you do a second undergraduate, which saves you money, but also allows you to get into physics much faster. Right, so many questions. Please, can you go through how to deal with burnout and motivation? I'm going through an extended time where I'm going through a rut. Really funny you say that. My sister literally came into my room the other day, and she's like, "Sen, looks like you're in a rut. Like, could you just get up and like become your normal self? Like, what are you doing?" So don't worry. Even I've been accused of being in a rut by my family. I'm going to fall behind if I don't start soon. Well, firstly, if you're in a rut, there's nothing bad about being in a rut, and I'm telling you that as someone who else is in a rut. The best thing to do is sort of realize, right, what you need to do in the next like few days and few weeks, and make sure that like if you think you're going to fall behind, sort out tasks which mean that you don't miss deadlines. Sort out tasks which mean you don't sort of penalize yourself too heavily. So if you have like a coursework deadline, make sure you like at least somehow submit something. Like if you are in a serious rut, not like just me and being lazy, then that's one of the key bits of information. Number 2, maybe change your lifestyle up a bit. Maybe you're eating like not a healthy diet. Maybe you're not getting enough sleep. And like, to be fair, my diet wasn't the best earlier this year. And that's because my MN project got quite tough, and I was, it's like doing lots of work. I was just ordering food or like eating at restaurants, which isn't the healthiest of things. So when I got home, my mum was like, "Sen, you're proper fat," and I was like, "Yeah, calm down." So when I was called proper fat, my mom was like, "Right, just eat the food I give you, and then you should be better." Before I know it, I've lost some weight, turning up a bit again. And again, diet makes a big difference. So make sure you eat stuff that makes you feel energetic, like blueberries, strawberries, like some nice fresh fruit, watermelon. They really make you like energetic. I'd avoid things like processed meats and like cheeses because they just like they're so salty, they just slap you in the face and they knock you out. So like change up your daily routine, make sure you do some exercise. So yeah, number 1, get your deadline sorted, change your daily routine, and thirdly, sort of, just like realize that if you don't get yourself out of this rut, you're not going to achieve what you wanted to achieve when you started whatever you're doing right now. So, sort of just think about the consequences of not getting yourself sorted again. So by sort of realizing how much you could lose, then you'll sort of have like a bit of a push up the backside, which will help you sort your work out, help you sort your lifestyle out, helping you get out of the rut. I might make a video on it actually, because getting out of the rut, it's easier to say how you can get out of one than actually get out of one. And even at Cambridge, sometimes you've got like a pile of laundry you haven't done in a week, and you could call that a rut, because if you're living a very consistent lifestyle, if you're living, if you've got a good daily routine, then you wouldn't let things like your laundry pile up. You wouldn't let things like your room get messy. So the first thing you have to do is get those basic, simple things in life sorted. Do your laundry, do your washing up, don't leave dirty cups around, do your vacuuming every day. Those small things make a huge impact on your mental health, and they get you going again. Do you have any regrets regarding time you spent at Cambridge? If you go back to your first year, would you want to change anything? Yes. If I could go back to first year, like I said earlier, I'd work 10 times harder, because now, of course, I didn't get firsts in all of my years, and I wish I had worked harder to get firsts. And getting a first doesn't define who you are. It's university, but getting a first is more of an ego boost, I think. But going back, I've now seen that sometimes getting a first can, like getting 4 A stars at A level, right? It gives you a few more open doors, and doors you can get easier through. So I wish I'd worked harder and maybe sacrificed some procrastination time to get that first, because there was kids who got lower A level grades than me. Getting 4 A stars was hard, but there are kids who got lower, borderline Cambridge entry scores, who were getting firsts, right? So what it showed me that is I got complacent and I was lazy and I wasn't working as hard as I should have. Right. Yeah, Tom, if you quit gaming and get rid of distractions, definitely. If you want to get out of your rut, literally unplug your console, right now, go to your parents and be like, Mum, Dad, could you take this away from me? It's distracting me. I don't need it. Doesn't mean much to me. Because look, this is what my mum says. If I'm watching TV, she's like, Sen, you're here watching TV, but whoever made this program is earning millions of pounds, whereas you here are wasting your time in your life, not achieving anything. So the guy who made the game wants you to play the game, mainly because the more time you spend playing that game, even watching this video, the more time you spend watching this video, it's better for me, but it's not really good for you unless you're gaining something from it. So with these, I'm not saying for you to all go, but stay. But with things like consoles, to really make sure you get away from that, because if you're on a rut, like I said, then change your life up, change your routines. Instead of sitting on your console, get off your ass and go for a run or go for a walk around your neighborhood. Favorite YouTubers, very good. I was actually about to make a video about this soon. So really big fan of Auto Fuel. It's like a car reviewing sort of channel on YouTube. What are the Mr. Beast and all those piss taking channels? I kind of don't mind them, but it's just more mind numbing stuff. I love Engineering Explained. So it's a fantastic channel where they explain, how can I say, engineering concepts, and he gives really cool examples. What are the channels? Let me make a YouTube video about it, because I do actually have some really good YouTube channels that I would recommend to you also. So I'll rush down now. Literally no, I got a my favorite YouTube channels. I've got a note written down already where I got to make the video. Okay, bye dude, bye Ads Ghost, bye Eliza. I'm gonna wrap this video up in 5 minutes, so because I need to go and work as well. If you've taken a gap year between A levels and medicine, what would you have done? Good question. I would love to go to Sri Lanka for a bit, and that's where my family's from, and done some volunteering. I do some charitable work out there for orphanages, and I want to sort of make that a bigger thing. I'm not sure if you guys want to get involved with that, but might try and would have done that. Traveling a bit as well. But to be fair, when I was when I was in year sort of 12, at the end of that, I wasn't really too mature. So going around the world, traveling on my own, I don't think I would have been able to sort of cope, with that jump. Maybe now, 2 years after university, I'm a bit more independent and I can travel the world, and I have traveled the world on my own without, breaking myself. But I don't think I would have taken a gap year. If I had taken a gap year, I would have done something really useful with it. Going to Sri Lanka, doing some volunteering work, but also some like research work maybe. So going in a lab, being a lab assistant, and doing some like something productive, which will be useful for me CV wise later on in my life. Because it's very easy for you to just go traveling and burn money, and then eventually be too useful. Like if you go to an employer and say, "Oh yeah, I've been to traveling to like New Zealand and like Bali for one whole year," they'll look at you and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, what's the point of that?" Whereas instead, for medicine, if you spent a whole year volunteering out in like rural Peru, teaching like school kids English and like helping with like a local health center, that's far more valuable. You've learned like communication skills. You've done some good volunteering. You've done some like selfless acts. You've spent time developing your ability to cope with stressful situations. That's far more useful than just burning cash and traveling everywhere. But then again, life is short, so not everything revolves around work and getting a good CV. You want to have some fun as well. So yeah, balance to strike. What do you think about fasting? Does it help focus? Fasting, good question. Like sometimes I find it quite nice when I've got the feeling of like being hungry. So I'd wake up in the morning and I wouldn't eat breakfast, and even sometimes today I wake up and I'm like just ready to work, and I find that even like going downstairs to make myself a cup of tea or coffee or like getting some cereal or muesli, I find that to be a distraction. So sometimes if I wake up in the mood, literally like drag myself to the desk, and even for like brushing my teeth, sometimes yes, I know it's a bit gross, I sit down and do some work. And like after like an hour or even half an hour of like productive like bashing out my keyboard, I get up, brush my teeth, and then get on with my daily routine, then come back and work. So fasting, like if you're fasting for religious purposes, that's different. But sort of staying hungry in the morning is nice because it's like a treat. Having breakfast is a treat. You do some work and then you have breakfast, and then you're happy and fulfilled. What is your opinion on the Oxford textbook of medicine? I don't know the Oxford textbook of medicine. Like, send me a link and I might recognize it. Said I'm starting 6th of September. I'm wondering what other subjects I should pick. I've picked chemistry and biology. I can pick physics and maths. I can't pick physics and maths. So if you can't pick, okay, if you're doing anything, just do maths, biochem, and do them well. If you can do 4, then I recommend physics. For medicine, physics isn't as helpful as maths. That's a simple truth of it. Because like physics is hard without maths. But if you can do 4, then physics is easy with maths. That's my basic advice. Did you get any work experience for medicine? Yes, I did a week in neurosurgery, a week in upper GI at Oxford at the Churchill Hospital with this crazy, like cool, like head of cancer surgery. I did a week in the respiratory ward in a sort of Surrey hospital. I did A&E work experience at Kingston Hospital. I did a week in an MRI laboratory at Imperial College London at the Hammersmith Hospital. So yeah, I did quite a bit. And I recommend you also do as much as you can. Although people say, oh yeah, you only need like 2 or 3 placements. Like, firstly, like GP placements, as important as they are, if you don't get one, don't cry about it. Like, I struggled so hard to even like get GP surgeries to respond to me. And then I got to a point where I was like, bun this. I can't really be bothered to like follow up GPs. Instead of like doing GP stuff, I'm going to go to a hospital, and on the hospital placement, I'm going to sit in on the clinics. And if you go to the clinics that surgeons have with patients, that's pretty much exactly like a GP appointment. Sen, what do you think of the UK versus US universities based on friends you have? Well, actually, like the top US universities are absolutely fantastic. Based on the friends I have, now let me give you the caliber. I'll show you the caliber of friends that I've managed to bump into and have. One of a good friend of mine who I played polo with. This guy went to Princeton for his undergrad, came to Cambridge for his master's, and now is doing another 3 years at Stanford studying law. Like, this is this level of craziness that some of these kids at Cambridge get up to. US universities are fantastic. I'm not going to say they're not. Harvard, Princeton, Stanford, Yale, like MIT, bonkers good. And I wish I could go and study there as well myself, actually. I'd love to go and study that. But you can't compare them. They're both the top universities within their countries and fantastic universities. But what I like about British universities is that sort of more traditional aspect of it all. It's quite a pumped up sort of experience. You learn good manners. You meet interesting people, cultural people. America, I'd say, is better for like postgrad studies to actually go do some research. There's much more money flowing around there, so it's better to make money and do some good research as well. Right, let's go. Two more questions. Tom Shaw, yes, good. Get your shit straight. Go do it. Thando, proud of you. Thando, I do physics, biology, chemistry without maths. Okay, Thando, then great, it worked for you. But maybe you agree with me on the fact that physics, like if you had a few like better math skills, physics will be easier because like simply you do loads of integration and differentiation in maths. And so when they mentioned like differentiation in physics, you're like, I get that quickly. It doesn't say you can, you can't understand that. Do you recommend EPQ for Cambridge? Not really. No, don't recommend it. Just do very well in your A-level subjects instead. Like definitely. Sheik, do you watch porn to relax a bit, bro? Good question. Like that's a personal thing, so not prying. Hi Sen, shall I go to uni of Birmingham? Maybe I'll make a video on that because I think all these a lot of you guys watch this as well, and it's a very personal topic, I'd say, but something which kids want to know more about. But yeah, let's leave that. How many hours do you spend studying at Cambridge? At Cambridge, if you include lectures, supervisions, personal study, you study about 10, 12 hours a day. Hi, Sen. Shall I go to Uni of Birmingham Computer Science or wait and take exams until next year and try UCL Imperial? It depends on what you want to do. If you think you can do very well and get really good marks, then go for UCL Imperial. But if you just want to start university and get going with your life, then go Birmingham. It depends on how much you can work, and that dictates it. Tom Shaw, why wait until Monday? Yeah, Tom, why wait until Monday? But to be fair, if you want to have a good last weekend binging with games, go do that. Then Monday could be a good start. Actually, I'd say sort of start of the weekend. Much easier. My favorite pen. Good question. I'd say it's this. Well, this and also the cheap big ones. So this is a Uniball I fine pen. Very simple pen. Simple man, simple pen. But they say simple. These things are bloody expensive. But they flow very smoothly. When you write, it's like writing with a Parker, but you don't have to look after it like a Parker. You can throw it away and it doesn't break. The other cheap big pens, the dirt cheap plastic ones, you can get 10 for £2. They're really good. I used to love them when I was doing my A-level exams, mainly because number one, I could lose them and I'd be fine. But also, I was really satisfied when the ink would go down them. So that was the best thing about them. After an exam, I'd look at how much the ink level had changed. I'm like, oh yes, I've used a centimeter of ink, and I'd get hyped about that. What is your favorite pen answer? When do you think schools are opening in the UK? Good question. Well, hopefully for all of us and for you guys, schools don't open. But I think they'll open them. I think it'd only be fair that they open them and then close them for the summer holidays. It'd be quite harsh if they sort of made up for missed school time by cutting into summer holidays. But I think expecting the next month or so before the beginning of June, they'll open up for a bit. They might open for a month or so. Did you go to a public school? No, I went to grammar school. Great Q&A, Sen. Thank you very much, Oscar. Yes, using the pen of Sen will make you Sen. No, it won't. What sort of discussion is this? Using the pen of Sen. Sen, hi, I'm Hisham. I got enough from Newcastle. I'm an international student. What should my concerns be at the moment about studying there? And what's best to do in the UK, UG or PG? There's no real concern. Newcastle's great. Fantastic fish and chips. Good people. You'll discover Greggs. I've got some friends from Newcastle and they absolutely love Greggs. It's like the lifeblood of Northerners, Greggs. So you'll eat loads of pastries and yum-yums. When I was younger, my favorite thing was getting treated to a sausage roll before school. Until I realized that the sausage and sausage rolls is barely sausage. And I was like, actually, it's a bit gross. I got an offer for medicine in Aston. Any advice? Yeah, well, number one, no advice. Well done. And number two, start talking to people who've done first year there already. See what they did. See what I'll make a few videos about first year medicine, but first year Cambridge medicine is very different to other places. So yeah. Right. All right. So I mean that using your pens isn't going to make someone as successful as you. Lol. Well, yeah, of course, using the same pen as me. Well, arguably, the amount of pens they make, millions of people use the same pen as me, and they're probably people who are billionaires who use the same pens that I use. So just because they're billionaires doesn't make me a billionaire. But hopefully I can think of that and dream of that. Hey Sen, with biology degree, what careers could I go into? Very good question. You can go into, well, my mum would always say this: if you do something like biology, you'll be a teacher. But once I got to university, doing biology doesn't mean you become a teacher. You can go into research. You can do a PhD in something specific like cancer research, immunology, proteins, like plant-based research. You can also go into like consultancy. So a lot of people do like natural sciences, biology. They go and work for consulting firms like Bain, McKinsey, and so you have like big companies who need advice that's biology related. And so you're a consultant who gives them advice and charges them an arm and a leg for it. So yeah, biology is quite versatile, but it's not really too intense biology. So if you want, like do medicine instead. Are your parents strict? Good question. I wouldn't say they're strict. I'd say they just like sort of give me a kick up my ass when I'm being lazy, because they like by sort of catching me out when I'm lazy, I think they just sort of make me work harder and just do the best myself. So some parents are like, so strict that they don't let kids do anything. They're like, I don't know. I've heard of people's like some kids' parents who put like filters on their internet. Like that's mental. Like whose parents would like put a block on the internet? You can't watch free movies that way, can you? So my parents aren't strict. They just make me work and make me help. They help me achieve the dreams I want to achieve. Yeah, and that's what I love about them. Can you? Maybe I should make a video with my parents or with my mum or something, and my dad. I think you might. Yeah, to be fair, without my mum, I wouldn't be like anywhere close to where I am now, and she's been a big sort of driving force in my life. So could introduce her. Can you work in finance from doing bio? If you want to do finance, do physics or chemistry instead. Bio is a bit weak, not enough maths for finance. Do you think the UK will go ahead with A-levels due to the time missed out? I don't think A-levels will happen. If they said they've cancelled it, it's not going to happen. They can't backtrack on that. It's pretty much a stab in the backside. Sen, do you think gap year is worth it for Cambridge rejects, or through if you got 4 A stars, then a gap year is worth it for Cambridge. Don't apply to Cambridge, don't apply to Oxford. I know many people who fail to get into Oxford the first year. When they fail to get into Oxford, they apply to Cambridge the next year for the same subject, they get in. Kids who apply to Cambridge that year who don't get in apply to Oxford the next year after a gap year and they get in. But all these kids have like clean A stars at A level. So yeah, just to give you some context. Yes, make a video with your parents. Woo, we'll do that. Sen, do you drink coffee to be more efficient? Coffee, I've actually cut down my coffee. And like I said, when I was accused of being in a rut, I got banned from tea and coffee in the house. The only coffee I'm allowed to drink is Sri Lankan coffee, which is like, it's actually quite nice. It's like when you drink Arabic coffee, it's got like, Arabic coffee has like got really nice cardamom in it. Sri Lankan coffee has got some like really nice spicy ginger in it. So it's like a really like complex coffee. That's not just like a slap in your face. So yeah, I'm not drinking too much coffee at the moment. Coffee doesn't make me more efficient. It just keeps me more awake. And sometimes just because you're awake doesn't mean you're doing work. So yeah, not the best of things, but it works if you just need a slap in the face without losing teeth. Do you need maths to do chem? No, you don't. Sen, do you like doses? Yeah, doses are good. Well, like depends on how they're made. I don't like the floppy floppy ones that are like just pasty and just like thick pancakes. I like them when they're crisp. If you don't know what a dosa is, they're like savory pancakes. They're delicious. And, like you have this thing called a pole sambal. It's like some coconut stuff with like some chili and some like chopped onions, some lemon juice, and salt and pepper. Or not pepper, just salt. Oh, it's amazing. Are you Muslim? No, I'm not Muslim. I'm Hindu. Do you do work experience during A levels? Yes, after my history of A levels, I did some work experience. Is it worth mentioning online work experience that we have done in the lockdown? Like don't mention it as online work experience because that's not work experience. But like, of course, you can talk about books you read. So be like, I was fortunate to read XYZ in the Lancet, which is a journal. So look, don't really say you had an online work experience thing. It looks really bad. Okay, I'm getting tired. I should probably go do some work. Last question, or last two questions. Okay, right. I'll answer Asgo's question and Hitsu's question. What's the naughtiest thing you ever did in school, Sam? Very good question. The naughtiest thing I did in school. What is the naughtiest thing I ever did in school? Oh yes, I know. So when I was like in year 7, year 8, they'd like make us go to rugby, and we worked out how we could bunk rugby without getting told off. So like there'd be times where we'd like go to rugby training, but on the way we'd like divert and bunk it because we noticed other kids were doing it, and I was like quite a good boy at school. So yeah, bunking rugby was like a big thing I did. I was like, whoa, crazy. I've done worse things, but I don't think I can share them on a public platform because I might have my school calling up again. Like not anything illegal, but some naughty things. One more question: can you Cambridge with only 3A stars? Well, you can't Cambridge. You have to. Can you go to Cambridge with only 3A stars? Yes, you can go to Cambridge 3A stars very easily. 3A stars really higher than other student scores. Subjects like English, you've got kids getting with an A star AA. You've got kids getting into medicine even with 2A star A. So getting 3A stars, it's a very it means you can work hard and that you're solid, right? So yeah, your answer is yes. And last but not least, can you do a study with me? Yes, a study with me. A study with me will be coming up soon. And as you can see from how much I'm mumbling now, I think we'll call it a day there. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. And yeah, I hope you found this useful. Do go follow my Instagram. I'd love to, connect with more of you there. It's sen_Kath. And yeah, thank you once again, and good night. Let's study, then jump on the cycling machine, and then do some more thesis work. Au revoir, and yeah, how do you say good night? Buenas noches in Spanish. All right, see you later, guys.